staying with us here on the Urban Debate. The big conversation tonight, the big breaking news and development tonight has been the stunning twist in the Sushant Singh death case. It's now become a case of abetment of suicide, and not in Maharashtra, but a case and an FIR that has been filed in Bihar, his home state. Yes, you heard it right. Even as on a daily basis, Mumbai police here has been taking statements of various celebrities, friends and family members, his close aides. It's actually a sensational set of accusations that have been made by the family now in Bihar, and they've not even spared the Mumbai police. Let me quickly take you through the details. Now, this is the complaint copy that we've accessed of Sushant Singh Rajput's father, and basis this complaint, the Bihar police has now registered an abetment of suicide case. What does Sushant Singh's father say? Charge number 1. He says that there were about 17 crores of money in Sushant's account, and 15 crores were actually transferred out into various other accounts. He says, and he points fingers at Sushant's girlfriend, Rhea Chakrabarti, that she stole his laptop, jewelry, credit cards, that she threatened to release Sushant Singh's medical records. That's how she blackmailed him, and she tried to get her away by saying that I'm going to reveal to the world what you have been going through, your mental health status. That's what I will show to the world. He alleges, as charge number 4, that Rhea and her kin, her family members, her supporting group were constantly pressurizing Sushant in getting their way. He also makes a charge that Rhea Chakrabarti was the one who fired all the close associates of Sushant Singh Rajput, that she was actually in control of all of his credit cards and bank accounts, and she was literally running his finances. She drove away his family. Yes, charge number 7 is a big charge being made by Sushant Singh's family today, weeks after he was found dead in his apartment in Bandra, that Rhea Chakrabarti drove him away from his family, and that she was ensuring that he would take extra medicines, that he would overdose on his medicines, and that he would reach a stage of mental instability. That's the big charge. These are some very, very shocking pointers that have been put in that complaint by Sushant's father against none other than Rhea Chakrabarti. And then they even said that he was kept in confinement for long, that his sister tried to console him. His sister visited him in Mumbai. She tried to console him. She tried to help him. And just 2 days after that, Sushant Singh Rajput was found dead in his apartment. And like I said, they made a sensational charge against the Mumbai police, saying that Mumbai police is probing those who have a little role to play in this incident. They're not really looking at the real issue. Let me also, before I go across to some of the panelists who are joining us, let me also tell you what is it that his family is seeking right now. This is what Sushant's father is asking. These are the questions or points that they are seeking answers to. Number 1, he says, my son was completely fine till he met Rhea. How did he develop mental health issues only after meeting her? Number 2, if Sushant was mentally sick, unstable, or was getting treated, why was his family's permission not taken for his treatment? Number 3, I believe doctors who treated Sushant were hand in glove with Rhea. They should be probed as well. Tying into the allegations, they were confining him and giving him an overdose of his medicines. Number 4, we need to probe what medicines and what treatment was being given to Sushant by his doctors. When Rhea knew, this is the 5th one, when Rhea knew about Sushant's weak mental state, how could she leave him? How could she not get him medical help and take all the treatment-related documents with her? These are the allegations. These are not facts. that we know of. These are not findings of any investigation. These are allegations right now by Sushant Singh Rajput's family. Comments that haven't come out so far, all this while when the Mumbai police was actually investigating a case. A case actually gets filed then in Patna in Bihar. Let's say good evening to Rajiv Ranjan, spokesperson for Janata Dal United, Dr. P.S. Pasricha, retired DGP of Maharashtra, Swapnil Kothari, senior lawyer of the Mumbai High Court, and Vinay Tiwari, managing editor of Mirror Now, also joining us right now. Vinay, how should a layman read this? Is it odd that a police department has been investigating this case now for days together, and just yesterday they said they haven't found anything that indicates any kind of foul play, and a day later a complaint and an FIR gets registered hundreds of kilometers away?
Yes, and look, there are three strands in this case, Tanvi, and all three are very, very curious. I mean, in all my years, I've rarely seen a case which is more curious than this. Now, the first strand number one, on the day Sushant Singh Rajput was found dead inside his house, the Mumbai police procedurally correctly filed an accidental death report because prima facie it did appear to be that of death by suicide. The investigations began, and as part of the investigations, the Mumbai police has by now recorded about 41 odd statements, 41 or 42 odd statements of varying people of varying backgrounds. One of the first people whose statements were recorded by the Mumbai police was, of course, Riya Chakrabarti, as well as the family, the four sisters of Sushant Singh Rajput and his father. They were the first people. Very obviously, when a person's dead body is found and it's suspected to be a suicide, one of the first statements that you would record would be of his family. Subsequently, the Mumbai police would made us believe that the postmortem report that came out suggested absolutely nothing odd in terms of the findings. And just about 3 or 4 days back, they even confirmed that the viscera report that had come in suggested no sign of poisoning at all, and hence they believe that there was no foul play in this death. Now, all through, the police was carrying out one another, what now can be called a charade. Now, I'm not saying that it was a charade, but one of the two police forces, or at least one of the two facts have to be right. All through this, there was a parallel debate that had started off in the social media where issues and a lot of discussions were happening around nepotism, about how he was being sidelined, about how he was losing work, and how some of the big studios and Bollywood directors were sidelining him from his projects, which possibly led him to take this step because he was feeling left out and marginalized. The police sometimes went to the extent of saying that most of the statements that were given by directors and other people who worked with Sushant Singh Rajput mentioned the fact that he was being sometimes, almost vilified for being from a small state like Bihar, and he's trying to make it big in a city like Mumbai. Now, that's where the twist comes in. You now have a situation where in the last 4 or 5 days, you have a certain set of politicians, 2 of them from the BJP, 1 from the NCP, Parth Pawar himself, grandson of Sharad Pawar, asking for a CBI probe in this case, which is very unusual because so far the Mumbai police gave absolutely no indication that this was a case that was beyond their level of investigation, or there was anything which required a higher degree of investigation which should bring in a federal agency. Suddenly, you have a situation today where the father of the person who died now goes to Bihar, to Patna police, and registers an FIR, and the police actually register that FIR. Now, there are only 2 possibilities. If the Patna police have registered this FIR as a 0 FIR, this particular case will have to be transferred to the Mumbai police, and they will have to take up the investigation basis the sections they've used. And the sections they've used are extremely important. Cheating, forgery, wrongful confinement, punishment for criminal breach of trust, and, of course, abetment to suicide. Now, the question is, Tanvi, and which is what really flummoxes me, when the Mumbai police was investigating and taking the statements of all the people from the family as well as Sushant Singh Rajput's father, did they not find, or was the statement not made indicating any of this? And if yes, if the father did not give any such statement at that point of time, why is he now giving a very different statement? So there are many, many things that are now curious, and that's the big reason why I believe that this particular case has turned 360-degree on its head, especially because you have another state police force which frankly has no jurisdiction over this case, which has gone ahead and now filed an FIR, Tanvi.
Yes. Yes, in fact, Mr. Dr. Pasricha, if I can come to you on this, because we've even spoken about the fact of how the family, all this while, when everybody else in the whole world was trying to, gain mileage out of it and share their own stories, speculate, come out with different versions, it was the family that had maintained silence all of this time. And it's been now almost a month and a half, over a month at least, since Sushant Singh was found dead. Do you find this odd that in all of this time, nothing was told or to the Mumbai police, but it's actually now emerging from Bihar?
Well, without prejudice to the result of the inquiry, I tend to agree with your executive editor, Mr. Vinay, and you. Mr. Vinay has actually simplified my work by telling everything so beautifully that, you see, first thing is why they did not come out immediately, as you rightly mentioned. It should have been done immediately. No, giving it in Bihar, and Bihar rushing to register an offense is something, I mean, it doesn't go in my professional logic, because maximum, if they register a case at 0 and then transfer to Bombay, then it's a different issue. But they cannot register and investigate. They can only pass on the inquiry or investigation to Mumbai, because the offenses have apparently occurred in Mumbai only, so they don't have jurisdiction. So, but after registering at 0, they can transfer the case, and then it's for the investigation in Mumbai to decide what type of conclusion to arrive at after verification of all the allegations. On what basis the parents have come out with this kind of huge allegations is a matter of really, I mean, it's surprising, but then let the investigation look into it. And the sections are pretty serious because they have put theft also 380 plus criminal breach of trust 406 with 420, and these are all non-bailable cases. And 341, 342 show that he was wrongly confined and all that, and then the losses that they occurred, because the credit card misuse or whatever they are. No, Mumbai police on their part has already registered an AD under 174, and they are investigating. They have found out, as per the evidence so far collected from Viscera and other things, it appears to be a case of suicide, not murder. But abetment to suicide is a section 306, which is yet to be decided. That is why they are going deep into the investigation, and they have not come to any conclusion, and rightly so. Thank you.
Okay, I get. Thank you for also clarifying on what could have been done, even if the complaint was filed there and there was a they could have filed a 0 FIR and moved ahead. But Mr. Rajiv Ranjan, ये तो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग बात हो गई, क्योंकि कल तक तो मुंबई पुलिस के सूत्र में ये बता रहे थे कि उन्हें कुछ नहीं मिला, कि अभी तक उन्होंने कुछ 40 सेलिब्रिटीज और एसोसिएट्स और मैनेजर्स और एग्जीक्यूटिव सबके स्टेटमेंट्स लिए हैं, बॉडीगार्ड्स सब, और किसी ने भी कुछ ऐसा नहीं बोला जिससे कि लगे कि कोई भी कंस्पिरेसी या फाउल प्ले है। फैमिली का भी स्टेटमेंट उन्होंने लिया, रिया चक्रवर्ती का भी लिया। ये अब ऐसा क्यों कैसे हुआ कि बिहार पुलिस ने एक FIR फाइल किया और वहाँ पे इतनी बड़ी कंप्लेंट और इतने बड़े एलिगेशंस के साथ वहाँ पे कंप्लेंट फाइल हो रही है?
देखिए, इसमें दो बातें बहुत ही अहम हैं। पहली बात तो ये है कि 40 दिनों तक मुंबई पुलिस से किसी नतीजे की उम्मीद रही, और इसलिए भी उनके पिताजी को ये ऐसा लगा कि इस मामले में जब मुंबई पुलिस इसकी तहकीकात कर रही है तो उसके नतीजों का इंतजार करना चाहिए। अनुसंधान किस दिशा में है, क्या निष्कर्ष पर वो आते हैं, पहले फाइंडिंग्स को देख लिया जाए। लेकिन जिस तरह से मुंबई पुलिस ने इस पूरे प्रकरण में किसी भी तरह की अनियमितता को पहचानने से इनकार किया, उससे एक पिता के तौर पर जरूर उनकी भावनाएं आहत हुई हैं। और मैं एक बात जरूर कहना चाहूंगा, सुशांत सिंह राजपूत नई पीढ़ी के सबसे लोकप्रिय सितारों में से एक थे। बिहार को ये फक्र हासिल है कि बिहार ने एक सपूत देश और दुनिया को समर्पित किया। और जिस तरह से मुंबई की फिल्मी हस्तियों ने वहां के नेपोटिज्म को लेकर के सवाल खड़े किए, स्टार किड्स को मिल रहे प्रेफरेंसेस को लेकर के अपनी बातें कही, और सुशांत सिंह राजपूत की मौत पर सीधे तौर पर किसी को जिम्मेवार ठहराया या नहीं ठहराया, लेकिन उन परिस्थितियों की ओर इशारा कई लोगों ने किया जिसकी वजह से ये एक उकसावा आप कहें या वो परिस्थितियां बनी जिसकी वजह से उन्हें दुनिया को अलविदा कहना पड़ा। तो आज अगर मैं नहीं प्रोसीजर पर मैं नहीं कहूंगा कि इसको बिहार पुलिस को तहकीकात का किस हद तक अधिकार होगा, हो सकता है मुंबई पुलिस को ये मामला सौंपा जाए। मुंबई पुलिस की क्षमता पर किसी को यकीन नहीं है ऐसा मैं नहीं मानता हूं, इसलिए कि वो हिंदुस्तान की सबसे अच्छी पुलिसिंग और अच्छे अनुसंधान के लिए मुंबई पुलिस की ख्याति है। लेकिन जिन परिस्थितियों में जो निष्कर्ष सामने आ रहे हैं उससे बिहार के लोग खासे आहत हैं, और मुझे लगता है ये केवल मसला बिहार का नहीं है, ये एक परिस्थिति है जब
लेकिन आप जो बोल रहे हैं जी, लेकिन आप जो बोल रहे हैं राजीव रंजन जी, वो नेपोटिज्म के बारे में और बाहरी और मुंबई की इंडस्ट्री वाले अलग और बाहरी लोगों के साथ अलग से बिहेवियर और उनको ज़्यादा चांस नहीं देना, वो तो सब अलग चीज़ है। यहाँ तो अब ये बोला जा रहा है कि जो उनकी खुद की गर्लफ्रेंड थी वो उनसे पैसे चुरा रही थी, वो उनको दवाइयाँ दे के मेंटली अनस्टेबल कर रही थी, वो सब ट्रीटमेंट के कागजात लेके भाग गई, क्रेडिट कार्ड, लैपटॉप, ज्वेलरी सब उनके कब्जे में था, कि ये सब प्लान किया 2019 से उनकी गर्लफ्रेंड और उनकी फैमिली सुशांत को फंसा के उनका पैसा लेने का ही प्लान कर रहे थे। ये तो बहुत अलग कहानी है, ऐसा तो कहीं नहीं अभी तक हुआ। नेपोटिज्म की डिबेट तो बहुत अलग है इससे।
देखिए, नेपोटिज्म को मैंने कभी नहीं कहा कि नेपोटिज्म की वजह से उनकी मौत हुई, इसके कोई पुख्ता प्रमाण है। मैंने उन स्थितियों की ओर इशारा किया है, लेकिन मैं एक बात जो कहना चाहूंगा कि जो उनके परिवार के सदस्यों ने आज जो एफआईआर दर्ज कराया है वो कहीं ना कहीं मुंबई पुलिस से, जब उन्हें ऐसा लगा कि इस दिशा में जो अपेक्षाएं हैं न्याय को लेकर के वो बहुत सीधे तौर पर होती हुई नहीं दिख रही है। मैं एक राज्य की पुलिस और वो भी मुंबई पुलिस पर कोई सवाल नहीं खड़े करूंगा, लेकिन उनके पिता को यह अधिकार जरूर है कि अपने पुत्र की असमय मौत को लेकर वो सच को सामने लाने के लिए कोशिश करें, और इसमें मुंबई पुलिस को सहायक होना चाहिए। आखिर क्या वजह है, शत्रुघ्न सिन्हा हो या शेखर सुमन हो या कंगना रनावत हो, ये तमाम लोग एक दूसरी राय पर हैं, और जिन 40 लोगों को आज पुलिस ने बातचीत की, जिनके बयान रिकॉर्ड किए हैं, उन 40 लोगों में कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं मिला जिससे ऐसा लगे कि सुशांत सिंह राजपूत के लिए जो स्थितियां थी बहुत सहज थी। उकसावे का तो रिश्ता किसी भी चीज से हो सकता है, किसी को परिस्थितियों के वजह से अगर आत्महत्या तो तभी आदमी कोई करता है जब वो स्थितियां हो, और एक अच्छे छात्र के तौर पर, एक अच्छे अभिनेता के तौर पर उन्होंने शानदार सफर तय किया, तो इतना कमजोर उनको मान लेना निश्चित तौर पर उचित नहीं होगा। और जो चार्जेस लगाए गए हैं उनकी गर्लफ्रेंड पर, गर्लफ्रेंड इंडस्ट्री की ही एक शख्सियत है और उनके रिश्ते भी इंडस्ट्री के कई लोगों के साथ हो सकते हैं, तो चाहे अकाउंट से पैसे का विड्रॉल का सवाल हो या उनकी ट्रीटमेंट में उनके परिवार को पूरी तरह से भरोसे में नहीं लिए जाने का सवाल हो, ट्रीटमेंट की पूरी जानकारी और जो फाइल है वो लेकर उन पर जाने के जो आरोप हैं, इन आरोपों की जांच के लिए अगर उन्होंने कहा तो मुझे लगता है इसमें इसको सही दिशा में लिया जाना।
मेंटल ट्रीटमेंट और वो भी एक अडल्ट का, उसमें परिवार की परमिशन की ज़रूरत तो नहीं होती जहाँ तक मुझे मालूम है। जो जिनको भी काउंसलिंग, साइकियाट्रिस्ट की हेल्प चाहिए हो, मदद चाहिए, वो खुद जाते हैं और उनकी वो इन्फॉर्मेशन कॉन्फिडेंशियल भी रखी जाती है। यही एक रीज़न है कि आज तक मेरा नाम ने कभी सुशांत की मेडिकल रिकॉर्ड्स या उनकी क्या साइकियाट्रिस्ट की स्टेटस थी या क्या दवाइयाँ उनको दी गई थी उसके बारे में हमने कोई कभी बात भी नहीं की, क्योंकि ये उनका खुद का मामला है, प्राइवेट मामला है। ये दूसरा उसमें
हम लोगों से,
पर ठीक है, अब ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगा क्योंकि फैमिली ने उठाई है बात।
उस एफआईआर में जो उठाए गए सवाल है उस पर आपने बात
जी नहीं, सही है आपके,
और मिस्टर पसरीचा
नहीं सही कह रहे हैं आप, और उनकी फैमिली ने अब ये बात उठाया है
अनुसंधान
तो
और
ये इस पे
को लेकर के पुलिस का तर्क रखा है। लेकिन एक पिता की भावनाओं को समझिए, उन्होंने जो महसूस किया है, उन्हें कहीं ना कहीं लगा कि ये लंबी जो प्रक्रिया है, ये मकड़े के जाल की तरह, उनके परिवार को इसका न्याय मिल सके वो कारगर होता हुआ नहीं दिखा, तब उन्होंने पटना में एफआईआर करने का फैसला किया।
बिल्कुल नहीं, ठीक है, ये क्या कंप्लेन में है तो ये पुलिस इन्वेस्टिगेट करेगी, मैं उसको अपोज नहीं कर रही हूँ। विनय, you disagreed with what Rajiv Ranjan was saying. Before I go to Swapnil Kothari, go ahead please, did you want to say something?
नो क्विकली जस्ट मैं राजीव जी को खाली इतना कहना चाहता हूं, मुझे बड़ा हर्ष है इस बात का कि बिहार पुलिस ने जिस तत्परता के साथ प्राथमिकी दर्ज की है वो बिहार पुलिस की तत्परता बहुत आम नहीं है। प्राथमिकी दर्ज करने के मामले में कभी कभी पुलिस थोड़ी कमज़ोर होती है। मैं यूपी का रहने वाला हूं, मुझे पता है वहां पर भी और बिहार में भी इतनी आसानी से प्राथमिकियां दर्ज होती नहीं हैं। ये भी मुझे बड़ी खुशी है इस बात की कि राजीव रंजन जी एक बिहार के सपूत की बात कर रहे हैं। सुशांत सिंह राजपूत बिहार के ही सपूत नहीं थे, भारत के सपूत थे। सवाल ये नहीं है, मुझे समझ में ही नहीं आता कि ये मसला, इसमें राजनीति कहां से आ रही है। इस मसले में मुझे इस चीज पे बड़ी चिंता होती है। आज से हफ्ते भर पहले राजीव जी को भी पता होगा, इन्होंने शेखर सुमन का नाम लिया, वो तेजस्वी यादव के साथ बगल में बैठ के प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस कर रहे थे इसी मुद्दे पे। और उसी के साथ यहाँ दिल्ली महाराष्ट्र के अंदर भी कई बीजेपी के नेताओं ने और इवन एनसीपी के नेताओं ने इस पे सीबीआई की केंद्रीय अन्वेषण ब्यूरो की इन्वेस्टिगेशन की बात की है। मुझे समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा कि या तो मुंबई पुलिस अपना काम खराब कर रही है और उस खराब काम का एक हमारे पास कोई ना कोई प्रमाण हो जिसमें ये कहा जाए कि इन सब बयानों के बावजूद या सबूतों के बावजूद मुंबई पुलिस इस केस को या तो गुमराह कर रही है या दबा रही है। अगर उसकी प्राइमा फेसाई जानकारी या अधिकार हमारे पास नहीं है तो राजीव रंजन जी खुद मानते हैं कि मुंबई पुलिस देश की अच्छी पुलिस फोर्सेस में से एक है और उनके इन्वेस्टिगेशन के ऊपर डाउट करना थोड़ा ऑड है। और यहां पर इस एफआईआर के जरिए उसके ऊपर 100% डाउट क्रिएट होता है, क्योंकि जो बयान आज उनके पिता ने बिहार पुलिस को दिया है, यही बयान की प्रक्रिया मुंबई पुलिस ने पूरी की थी जून के महीने में। तो या तो उनके पिता ने बयान बदला या मुंबई पुलिस को बयान दिया गया लेकिन उन्होंने लिखा कुछ और। दोनों में से एक चीज सच है, दोनों सच नहीं हो सकती। तन्वी,
मुझे
यस बिल्कुल एब्सोल्युटली सही कहा आपने। जी 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 जरूर जरूर।
देखिए, मैं एक बात जरूर कहना चाहूंगा, उनके पिता ने मुंबई पुलिस को पहले क्या कहा और जिस शौक की स्थिति में वो रहे होंगे, और आज जब स्थितियां 40 दिनों के बाद मुंबई पुलिस किसी नतीजे पर नहीं पहुंची, तो बदली हुई स्थितियों में बिहार में अगर एफआईआर हुआ तो इस पर बहुत ज्यादा हैरत नहीं होनी चाहिए किसी को। और बिहार पुलिस की सक्रियता पर आपने जो कुछ भी कहा, मैं समझता हूं ये बिहार पर आपने एक प्रहार किया है। बिहार की पुलिस की क्षमता, कार्यकुशलता, अनुसंधान की दिशा और राज्य सरकार के जो पुलिसिया जो प्रक्रिया को लेकर के सवाल बाहर बहुत खड़े होते हैं। लेकिन मैं ये मानता हूं कि बिहार की पुलिस ने एक बड़ी यात्रा तय की है और वो कई मसलों में सक्षम है। ये अलग बात है कि ये घटनास्थल मुंबई में है और मुंबई पुलिस को ही बेहतर तरीके से इसका निष्पादन करना था। मैंने उनकी तारीफ जरूर की, लेकिन जिस तरीके से 40 दिनों तक निर्णय पर पहुंचे हैं, उससे बेहतर जरूर बिहार की पुलिस बिहार के मसलों में काम करती आई है और बड़े बड़े मामलों में बिहार ने एक लॉजिकल कंक्लूजन पर मसलों को पहुंचाया है। इसलिए हमारी उम्मीद आज मुंबई पुलिस से है कि अपनी साख के अनुरूप इस अनुसंधान को एक सही दिशा दे।
राजीव रंजन जी, आप भी समझ रहे हैं और हम भी और दर्शक भी कि विनय तिवारी का कहने का मतलब एग्जैक्टली क्या था। और ये बात तो डिनाई नहीं हम कर सकते कि सडनली सारे नेताओं को बड़ा इंटरेस्ट आ गया बिहार के बेटे में और सुशांत सिंह राजपूत में। अब चाहे वो चिराग पासवान हो, जिन्होंने कहा, और चिराग पासवान हैज सेड दिस in as many words to us that he spoke to the Maharashtra Chief Minister yesterday, and the Maharashtra Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray told Chirag Paswan of the Lok Jan Shakti Party that don't worry, no matter how big the name is or no matter who it is, we are going to ensure justice is done in the case. Manoj Tiwari of the BJP today demanded an investigation. He's earlier demanded a CBI probe. Today he requested the Maharashtra Chief Minister to file a case in this specific issue and investigate Sushant's death. Parth Pawar, the grandson of Sharad Pawar, the Pawar scion himself, said that there needs to be a CBI investigation in this case. पॉलिटिक्स तो अब इसमें आ ही गया है, नेताओं का इंटरेस्ट सुशांत में पिछले 3 दिन में आ ही गया है। अब चाहे वो बॉलीवुड के लोगों को सुन के या उनकी फैमिली से बात करके हुआ हो, ये नहीं पता। बट स्वप्निल कोठारी, how does it work from here on? The fact that Sushant lived here, the fact that Mumbai police is already taking statements of various people, but an FIR has now been filed in Bihar. Legally speaking, what's the way forward? Which agency will probe this case?
According to me, Tanvi, Mumbai police has failed absolutely. It doesn't take 40 long days to, beat around the bush and first peddle the theory of suicide. And that is something which I do not agree with at all. I think it's a pure case of homicide. And now that, the Bihar police have waited patiently for 40 days, and I'm sure Sushant's father also waited to see if something materializes, but nothing has materialized. The suicide theory has been peddled. Many so-called biggies of Bollywood have been called to buttress the fact that he was suffering from some sort of depression, and that has led to, that being the cause of being the result of nepotism, which has led then to depression, then led to suicide. I do not agree with that. Neither the Bihar police does, I'm sure. That's the reason why they filed an FIR on those very heavy sections that Vinay just, elucidated, and Dr. Pastricha also expounded on that. So I'll not waste time on that. I'll waste I'd rather expound more on Section 306, which is abetment to suicide. Now, that is something, which merits a lot of tremendous consideration here. Before I go to that, I will answer your question very directly as to what will be the jurisdictional aspect. It will be Bombay which will have the jurisdiction. Bihar will not have the jurisdiction. They've registered an FIR, that's fine. If it's zero FIR, it will be transferred to the Mumbai police, and the Mumbai police should do that. And if it doesn't do that, then I think both the state governments should agree to the fact that let's give it to the CBI, let there be a neutral agency. And, Mumbai police is not well equipped to do this job. It is a fantastic force, but in this case seems to have, taken a backseat. So, the jurisdictional aspect will be that of Mumbai. Everything has taken place here in Mumbai. 2 or 3 pointers as to why Mumbai police has failed. First of all, the death took place in Bandra. Why take the body all the way to Cooper Hospital when Lilavati is next door? Secondly, if there are 50 SIM card changes by Sushant Singh Rajput pursuant to the death threats, then I think, that is something which needed to be looked into. And, that very well could be one of the major causes of homicide. And of course, Riya Chakrabarty's spends and removing Instagram photographs before his death. And even when the phone is in the custody of the police after his death, the Instagram and Twitter accounts are hacked to show that he's following Mahesh Bhatt. It's absurd that a person after his death is following Mahesh Bhatt. Now, these are the things which, compel a person to say that, look, the Mumbai police is not doing its job. So, let's now go with the Bihar aspect of abetment to suicide. That very well may stand on its own foot, and Mumbai police may wish to investigate it. Or I think the best thing in this case would be to do complete justice to the family and friends of Sushant, and to the media, which has taken up this case so very seriously and passionately, and rightfully so. Give it to the CBI. So, abetment to suicide. Once again, that's going to be very difficult to prove. I'm sorry, I'm sorry to say to Mr. Sushant Singh's father that that's going to be very difficult to prove, for the simple reason that the courts on various occasions have held the fact that only if, and in fact, I'll read out one of the ratios. That means the reasoning behind that. Even if any acts or words uttered by the accused or their conduct are sufficient to demean or humiliate the deceased, and even to drive the deceased to suicide, such acts will not amount to instigation or abetment of commission of suicide unless it is established that the accused intended by their acts that the deceased must commit suicide. It is not enough if the acts of the accused cause persuasion in the mind of the deceased. So even if Riya Chakrabarty, what needs to be proved in any criminal offense is the mens rea, what we call in Latin, which means the intention, the criminal intention. If that is not proved, then 306 falls flat on its face. So other aspects of criminal, cheating and criminal breach of trust, etc., financial embezzlement, etc., whatever, that may, very well be proved, and, she may have to cough out money and she may go even to prison for that. But abetment to suicide is something which is going to be very, very difficult to prove. And in fact, Tanvi, one of the Supreme Court judgments, where there was a case of a daughter-in-law having committed suicide subject to cruelty under 498A of IPC, and under 306 of there was an abetment to suicide on the in-laws. The court said that 498A, just because if we establish cruelty by words, acts, by the in-laws to that, doesn't mean that if she committed suicide, the in-laws could be held under 306 as well. 498A of cruelty and 306 stand on a separate footing. So just because you prove the one doesn't mean that you prove the other. So it's going to be very, very difficult to say. And, I do not wish to, give any fond hopes to the family of Sushant for 106 abetment. I think the CBI would be better off, not the Mumbai police, not the Bihar police, doesn't have the jurisdiction, to go ahead with a case for homicide. That's my view. It is absolute homicide. It is not suicide at all. Things don't come to that. Don't point to that. There's no suicide, no nothing.
Well, there aren't any facts that we have so far, Swapnil. I know you referred to a couple of examples, but a deeper investigation to some of those examples, for example, such as the SIM card story that's been doing the rounds, is that nobody really knows where it stemmed from. Everybody just quotes somebody else who quotes another person who quotes another person. So I would be a little careful to use those examples, before taking a view on it. Let the investigation show what really happened. But I do, want to pick up the point you made about abetment of suicide, and to what extent does that really, how difficult or easy is it to prove that? We have so many other high profile cases, from Jia Khan to Sananda Pushkar to Gitika Sharma, with similar controversies that emerged. And Mr. Pasricha, the other aspect is the role of Mumbai police. Now, if the father is saying that Mumbai police hasn't investigated it the right way, they haven't looked at the right people, they're not looking at the people who actually have a role in this. In 40 days, they have waited, and now a separate complaint has been filed. Should there be an investigation into what was the Mumbai police doing so far? Because fact of the matter is, the same police would have taken the statement of the entire family, including Sushant's father.
Well, according to me, first thing I want to clarify that it will be very unfair to cast any aspersion on Mumbai police, genuineness, because they registered AD as per the law. They are investigating it. They had to wait for the postmortem report. That must have taken about 8-10 days. Then they had to wait for viscera report also to rule out poisoning, etc. And viscera report by the chemical analyzer takes a lot of time. I understand that the viscera report came only a few days back. So till then, they could not have arrived at a conclusion that whether it was suicide, homicide, or whatever. Now, so therefore, they have taken time. Meanwhile, in the last, 15, 20 days, so much, it got on the media, and so many bigwigs of the film industry, jumped in, and everybody making allegation, counter allegation. So naturally, it tied the hands of the police to the extent that they would like to go very slowly, very professionally, so that they do not commit any mistake for fear of, being, accused of tomorrow, because it's a very thankless job. So that's why they took time. But I know that they're already on the job. But this investigation, Bihar has no right to investigate. They can at best, they can transfer to Mumbai, but Mumbai then will have to consider all the allegations which have been made by Sushant's family, and they'll have to bring it on record before finalizing the thing. And then, so that means that section 306, as the legal advisor, on our panel has also mentioned very rightly, is very difficult to prove, but they'll have to see each allegation objectively and with the documents, then only they can link it. No, to link it with 306 also they'll have to see it, so that can even delay the investigation. I don't think, that is for the government, because the decision to hand over the case to CBI can only be taken by High Court, Supreme Court, or the state government. Nobody else. So, well, I cannot comment on that because that would be unfair sitting, outside the department and, making observations. But professionally,
Yes.
I think this is not such a
Yes. No, I
complicated
understand
case that cannot do. Over.
Yes, no, I understand that, except that it definitely looks like the Mumbai police's track was something else, and what is now being alleged by the family is completely different. And how is it that the Mumbai police, when they would have started by, first thing you do is speak to the close friends and family, and if they would have done that, how did they not know this part or not bother to follow up on this part, is something that we will have to find out. Rajiv Ranjan ji, आपको क्या लगता है, अब CBI को सौंप देनी चाहिए ये जांच, क्योंकि बिहार पुलिस टेक्निकली कर नहीं सकती इन्वेस्टिगेशन, ज्यूरिसडिक्शन तो मुंबई पुलिस का है, और मुंबई पुलिस से तो 40 दिन में उन्होंने ये तो वो ढूंढ भी नहीं पाए.
देखिए, अब एक बात तो बिल्कुल साफ है कि बिहार का जुडिक्शन इस केस को इन्वेस्टिगेट करने में हो या नहीं हो, लेकिन अब अगर हम ये मुंबई पुलिस को रेफर भी करते, मुंबई पुलिस अगर इस मामले को देखती भी है, तो जिन सेक्शंस को लगाया गया है और जो चार्जेज हैं उनको एग्जामिन उनको करना होगा. और मुझे ऐसा लगता है कि मिस्टर कोठारी ने एक अपना पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू जरूर बताया, लेकिन उन्होंने ये जरूर कहा है कि मुंबई पुलिस से जो उम्मीदें थी उस तरीके से वो अपनी चीजों को नहीं पाए। और एक बात बिल्कुल साफ है, परिणाम चाहे जो भी हो, लेकिन एक साधारण सी बात है कि अगर उस परिवार को ऐसा लगा है कि उनके साथ अन्याय हुआ है, उन्हें इस अन्याय के खिलाफ अपनी आवाज बुलंद करने का अधिकार है। मिस्टर पसरिचा एक अच्छे ऑफिसर रहे हैं, विनय तिवारी जी के भी अपने पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू हैं, लेकिन मैं मानता हूं कि इन सबके बाद भी इस देश में जुडिशरी है, इस देश में सिस्टम है, और क्या कल होगा सीबीआई इसको देखेगी या मुंबई पुलिस का नजरिया क्या पूरे मामले में, ये आने वाले समय में हम देखेंगे। लेकिन एक लड़ाई की शुरुआत है और इस उम्मीद के साथ कि सुशांत सिंह को न्याय मिले।
सुशांत सिंह को न्याय अब हो गया ही ये एक बड़ा मुद्दा और ये बड़ा टॉकिंग पॉइंट जिसमें नेताज भी घुस चुके हैं। विनय तिवारी, आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाई इट पीक्स द इंटरेस्ट of the LJP and the BJP and the NCP and the JDU so much that, you know, almost each politician that we speak to is seeking justice for Sushant today.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a bit of a trap question, and I'll tell you why it is so. If they don't take interest, then we will say, oh, why aren't they taking interest? And if they do, then we have then we ask desperate questions. This is unusual. Why should all political parties take a deep interest in a case like this? Well, they have a right to take interest. I mean, let's not take that away from them. They have a right to take interest in this case as much as they have a right to take interest in any other case. But yes, I think Bihar has a particular situation right now. I can tell you, as I said at the start, Rajiv Ranjan ji, would bear me out on this. Look, I come from the exact same parts of the country, and I can tell you that there is now, especially in the last 4 months or so, in the post-COVID scenario, when you have had so much of reverse migration of people, migrants who work in cities like Bombay, a lot of people are hurt who've returned to that state by the way big cities have treated them. I think there is enough evidence to suggest that people in Bihar and in UP who were working in Bombay, and they work very, very hard, they're probably the most hardest working people that you have in any metropolitan city. They felt very slighted. They felt that they were abandoned and nobody was really looking after them in the big city, and that's why they had to return. There is that feeling in states like Bihar and UP that the big cities do not treat the boys from the small states well. That they are there to serve the purpose, but when there comes the time of difficulty or a crunch, they are left abandoned. They're abandoned. They're not really taken care of. Now that's a sentiment that exists in those states. It's gotten a little exaggerated because of what happened in the COVID reverse migration. Now, in that context, Sushant Singh's story had a similar narrative. He was a small town boy from Patna, had absolutely no godfather in Bombay, came in purely on the basis of his talent and sheer hard work that he rose. He did good films. His films did well at office. The MS Dhoni's biopic was an absolute blockbuster, and he was critically acclaimed as well and ended up getting awards too. Now, if a person like that appears to have been victimized in that industry, obviously the narrative back home state would get added to the narrative that when a small state person goes to a big city, he doesn't get treated well. I want to keep that narrative aside, Tanvi, and I just wanted to add two quick things. Swapnil mentioned the point about this being a clear-cut case of homicide. Well, if it is a clear-cut case of homicide, there are two things that really completely confuse me and befuddle me, which is this. The PM report, according to the police, says that the ligature marks on the neck are consistent with the hanging which were conducted by somebody themselves. They haven't found anything else apart from that. They found no other injury mark. They've now got the visitor report that shows no sign of poisoning. Obviously, there was no weapon found. There is no note found, which is a little surprising. And they have at least claimed that they found no evidence to suggest that there was anything more to it than that. Now, that means that either the Mumbai police was hiding dramatically evidence that they seem to have in their possession, or they have been very, very sloppy, which frankly is a little difficult to believe. The other point I wanted to make, Tanvi, was this. I completely agree with Swapnil as well as Rajiv Ranjan ji. The 306 is a very difficult offence to prove. But in this FIR, there are 4 other offences which are prosecutable or at least registrable on a prima facie basis. When you say that there is a criminal breach of trust, or there is cheating, or there is, simply a case of theft or wrongful confinement, a simple probe will give you prima facie evidence that there is something of this sort. It's not a difficult case to prove. These sections are not very difficult to prove. Why the Mumbai police couldn't find any evidence of any of those probabilities or possibilities for them to register a case of their own is frankly beyond me. And I think this is what we would want to hear from the Mumbai police now, because they have been quiet about it since this Bihar thing happened. They need to explain what explains these 4 sections in that FIR. 306 one can understand. What about the other 4?
Okay, I take your point, and I like how you said it is a trap question, Vinay. But I am simply asking it from the point of view that suddenly this is happening. There may have been 1 or 2 voices here. In fact, if there was anybody who demanded a CBI probe and a fair probe into what led to Sushant's death, it was actually Sushant's girlfriend, Rhea Chakrabarti, and she did this almost 12 days ago, if I'm not mistaken. She went to Twitter, took to Twitter, and also tweeted this out, tagging the Home Minister, Amit Shah, saying, well, please see if a CBI probe can be done. Of course, the CBI probe is something that is ordered by the state. It's the state and the Mumbai police, and they will have to decide whether the CBI has to be handed over this case. And I think we will see that conversation happen again now, keeping in mind that 1 case has been filed in Bihar and the other case has been filed there. I also want to point out some very other interesting bits that have actually come from the complaint copy, because these are things that Mumbai police will have to investigate now. Now, the father of Sushant Singh says that Sushant Singh had not been keeping well. Mentally, he was not stable, and that his girlfriend Sushant and her supporters were ensuring that they would give him an overdose of his medicine, which would only worsen his situation. She took away his documents about his health records and his treatment records, and that's what she's taken away. And so they don't really actually know what was going on. I want to point out, on the other hand, that Santya, who's been constantly tracking the story for us, has told us that quite a few of the doctors, the psychiatrists who Sushant did speak to, were interviewed even by the Mumbai police. So it may not be as easy to really prove this fact that the Mumbai police ignored any of those leads and didn't look into it. The Mumbai police did look into those leads, and then we were told yesterday that they haven't found any signs of foul play yet. It was not to say that they'd closed the case, but 40 days of investigation had thrown nothing up for Mumbai police. And then today came this 1 complaint and 1 FIR that's been filed by the Bihar police, and it completely has now changed the case and turned it upside down. The family accusing the girlfriend of abetting Sushant's suicide, stealing from him, conspiring against him, always with the intention of taking away his money. In fact, they said that the sister had come down to console Sushant Singh, to tell him to come back home, that he was facing a tough time, he hadn't had a good year, and that he should come home. But Rhea Chakrabarti did not allow that to happen. She convinced Sushant to stay back, and 2 days after the sister came and consoled and left is when Sushant Singh was found dead. Heartbreaking, some of the allegations that have been made and will have to be looked into. It is also going to be heartbreaking what happens in this story, and the way things will now be discussed threadbare. Not something that you would want after a person has passed away. But it will happen now as 2 state police departments get into this case. Thank you so much to our panelists for joining us today in this conversation. Welcome back, viewers. Even as this conversation really goes on between the debate between the insiders and the outsiders, and nepotism and ugly politics and group politics, the big and powerful within the Bollywood versus those who come from outside and are looking to make a career, I decided to speak to 2 of the top filmmakers in our country, 2 filmmakers who worked with the biggest of the established stars and with newcomers. Now, this is a conversation that we recorded earlier in the day. This is a conversation that we recorded before all the breaking news and the developments in Sushant's case happened. And so what you will watch is an excerpt of that conversation, because lack of time, I will not be able to play out the entire 50 minutes of the chat. But every part of it is equally important. We've tried our best to do justice to it. There is the excerpt of the conversation I had with Shujit Sarkar and Hansal Mehta on all things Bollywood. Hello and welcome, and thank you so much for joining me on this special conversation here. I've got two very special guests, the biggest of the names from Bollywood, great filmmakers, with me here for this conversation, Mr. Sujit Sarkar and Mr. Hansal Mehta. Thank you, both of you, for joining me. Mehta, let's begin with you. What's been keeping you busy? Lockdown, how's life been for the last 4 months?
Well, it's been quite hectic actually because there's a lot of work that I have to complete. There's a film and there's a show that I've been completing, and actually, I'm living the ideal life, the life that I had aspired to live. That I could work, do most of my work from my little home in the village, and go to Bombay only when required, and be completely divorced from Bollywood and be part of the film industry.
Mhm. Give us more insights into that, because I know you made that statement earlier also. How are you managing to be part of the industry? Have you been writing? Is there any specific project you're working on right now?
There's a show on the 1992 scam, which I'm completing, the Harshad Mehta scam, which I'm currently completing post production, and I have a film that that was supposed to release, and which will release hopefully when the theaters open. I'm working on the final touches to that, whatever I can do from home. And yes,
Okay.
writing is it's a illusion that we can write. We are very productive. At least I am not. There are times when I wonder, I like to laze around. So whatever happens, and I'm not, that's why I'm not a writer.
Shujit, there is a general sense, at least, with the common man who otherwise gets so caught up in the daily routines. Like, the lockdown has given time and space to people to try new skills. Is that something that you've attempted to do in the last few months?
Yes, of course. I think it was a time when I have tried to learn all housework, and you can say I have mastered it quite well. From using the magic mop to cooking to take care of
Yeah.
everything. And actually speaking, last 4 months there's so much of housework that I get very little time to even watch films or television or read. So somehow I squeeze in time and I'm reading and watching whatever I like. That's it.
Okay, so let me ask a larger question. For every industry, we've been having these conversations. How does it change your life, and especially for the film industry? How long do you think it will take us to recover from here on? Any views on that, Shujit?
It's going to take a lot for the industry to, it's already taken a lot from the industry. The industry is devastated actually at this moment, especially the technicians, the people, the pending work, the amount of, if I say, I'm not a money man in terms of the film's producer, but whatever they tell me, the money which is overloaded and the interests and all this is completely in shambles. So it's basically now is the confidence that the industry needs, I think, is that yes, there will be a bright future coming in and there will be work and there will be enough work for everyone. I think the biggest relief, which Ansel was just telling me, that that he's also working on a web series.
Yeah.
I think somewhere down the line, web series at this moment, or television programs, or I think the technicians that work with you in terms of in your news networks, I think they are somehow managing to survive. But in terms of cinema, where the population is dependent upon, I think it's going through a very bad phase. So Guild is anyway taking charge of helping some of the technicians. I think that you're aware of. But I think it's going to be a long. We are hearing some news of cinema theaters may open in. We are not very clear, but I don't know how quickly, how soon the people will be going to theaters because of the fear factor. And also, I don't think people will want to go and spend also, because people have become very habitual of not spending unnecessarily because of the future that they want to save for. So I think these are the factors which are going on in all our heads, and I think it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. I see minimum 2 years to recover from these. This is my personal opinion.
Is there a thought that perhaps this will be the turning point where a lot more focus and revenue then starts coming from your online portals than your cinema halls, at least in for the next several years, if that's going to be the concern, that and maybe that starts benefiting smaller production houses and banners than the big bang ones who then take 1,000, 1,500 cinema halls and make their money.
No, in that way, I am a little differently opinion, because I think we Indians generally love chaos and mela.
Yeah.
So as soon as the theaters open, there is a chance of a surge of an audience which just says, "Ki, I am frustrated now. Let me go in and watch something."
Yeah.
There is a chance of happening, and if it happens that way, and I have a feeling that Indians, I have seen my friends, relatives, and lots of people.
Yeah.
We love to just give it, not bother, and just go in.
Do you think the fact that there isn't much to do right now, we are in a wait and watch game, is why we are seeing this whole ugliness come out of the industry right now, with various people making these comments and a conversation and a debate that frankly I feel may not really reach any kind of a conclusive point?
Are you talking about the Sushant Singh and the debate that's going on? So
yes, yes. I think
anyway,
we've not forgotten about Sushant's case specific, and it's just now become everybody, talking about and having their own view on insider versus outsider or nepotism. I don't think too many of them are even bothered about Sushant's story itself.
Well, I think it's well, I'm in Kolkata, so I'm not in social media now. So I'm out of social media. So I'm just whatever I'm hearing on the news. But yes, I think Sushant Singh's incident has definitely triggered it. So one thing is always good, which I'm always positive, that a discussion and introspection is always good. It's not bad at all. So I think industry is introspecting because of this. You're saying COVID, they're sitting at home, which is not bad. I think this should have been discussed much earlier. But my personal view in terms of all the discussion which is going on is little, not little different, but I'll say this is also an epidemic. Let me tell you, this is a social epidemic. We must agree that it's, and this epidemic is not only in the film industry. Possibly, this epidemic is everywhere, in every sphere of life. Every sphere, everyone has somewhere has been guilty of being part of this.
Yeah.
Because it's a human behavior to be with close friends, to work with friends, to work with people you are acquainted, people you are like-minded. So I think that surely happens, and if you see 80% of India's business are family business. So there's a basic. So in terms of nepotic approach, I think it has to start from home. It's straight up. I think it's so deep that it starts from home. Like, for example, I say that respect for a woman or empowerment should start from home for the boys. So it's same in Pink, we said that. So I think this is also a social epidemic which should start from home. Because when we do, because this is so imbibed in us, few things that we sometimes don't know when we we become culprit and we are guilty. But sometimes it's very good also. Sometimes working with friends and working with known people, working with people working with people you are comfortable with, has also some benefits also. So I think it's a deep introspect that where I am going wrong. So one thing I've figured out that wherever there is money involved, nepotism will be there possibly, because everybody wants to be secured with the money. Everyone
Yeah.
wants to be very safe and secure. Where my money is, like a father will give his business because of its money to his son,
Yeah.
or his daughter. So I think if the art does not involve money, possibly there won't be any favoritism or nepotism. Then I think it will be a free flow.
No, I
But
understand the point you're
money
making
is
about
everywhere.
comfort level. So if you two people and two artists are working together and they hit it off, then I understand the desire perhaps to again choose the same person for your next
But I
project.
think,
Yeah.
but I think what happens is when we start ridiculing or demeaning an art or an artist,
Correct.
I think that's of course not acceptable anywhere. So, like for example, I am basically a footballer, and I have nothing to do with Bollywood. For me, reaching Bollywood and being there, standing there, not doing anything, it was enough.
Yeah.
That was enough of my achievement. the kind of family I come from, the place I come from. Of course, now I have done many films, but these are not my success. My success is I could come to Mumbai. That's it. So that was my success story. So yeah, but we have every step is in the ladder that you have to climb, and I think that's the best way to answer everything back that you want to do, and keep proving it. That's it. You will have to, and it's a constant proving yourself also. So it's quite deep rooted. To answer your question is that, it's a good introspection. Good that people have time and introspecting. Somewhere down the line, it may affect also people. Somewhere down the line, people should remember this. I think it's important.
Mr. Ansel Mehta, do you agree with what Shujit is saying here, and that this is the kind of nepotism that's also then, it exists in every other sector? It's more about your own comfort level.
Of course, first you work with people that you really like working with, people you're comfortable with. And I've worked with newcomers since 1993, I think. My technicians, my actors, all the new people. And I love, giving a platform to new talent as far as, business and finances are able to allow it. I do it. I fight for new talent. But yes, having said that, when I made my film Shahid, my son was with Anurag Kashyap. He was an assistant director. I realized that he was a good assistant director and I would have to pay him less. I had no money. So the best assistant director at the least money was my son. So if you call that nepotism, it's fine. It actually helped me work more efficiently. It helped me work for longer periods of time because he was staying with me. So we were working 24 hours. So that was, so I don't know. This whole nepotism, insider, outsider, there's a broader thing, and it's a social, it's more of a social issue where our societal structures worldwide, the power and the powerless, moment if I, as a filmmaker who has come in from nowhere, I'm an outsider, and for me, frankly, 27 years in this industry, having made 16, 17 films, that by itself, I get up every morning wondering how that happened. The moment, say, I assume power and then I exercise that power over somebody I perceive as weaker, that exercising of power, that creation of that structure of inequality, while it is a norm, societal norm, I think we have to consciously try to change it, try to create a more equal, equitable working environment for ourselves. This is a time for introspection. There's been collective shock and grief over Sushant's passing away. And that has sort of forced us to introspect.
I have a different question to this. Is it more about nepotism or insider outsider, or is it more about the groups that may exist within the industry? What's already been established, circles, people who come together, who gel together and then become these groups, and then the divide between them?
No, I need to tell you this. Who are the people really indulging in this kind of debate? Who are the people talking about it? So there's a mix of anger, frustration, and people who have unfortunately not been able to make an entry, a foray into the industry. A lot of such people have uh, expressed their collective anger and frustration. So I think it's also,
To go.
along with that introspection, there is an external outpouring of a lot of pent up feelings, and somehow while nepotism exists everywhere, these power structures exist in every sphere of society. I think Bollywood, as they call it, or the film industry, as we call it, is has always been a favorite punching bag.
Yeah.
So and this is an opportunity. My question is simply there are a lot of people from the audience who are saying they want this to break and all that. I'm saying then patronize films that when somebody attempts to makes a good
Yeah.
film with a new actor, patronize the cinema halls, go there, watch those films, encourage that new talent. I mean, this question will slowly, then we will create a more equitable space. But you see the kind of inequality in the kind of showcasing, the kind of money films make, the
Yeah.
footfalls that films get. And that inequality, it exists. And we exist within that inequality, and we try to make the best out of it. So
It's,
hope.
it's the same as every time people make sweeping comments even about the news industry and abuse or criticize the news industry for doing such a bad job of it. I say, well, but look at what people are watching. People choose to watch that versus some of the good stuff that's actually being done and is being put out there. So
Exactly.
I get the point that you're making. But for example, why I say that this is not necessarily an insider outsider, or maybe more about various groups that exist. For example, what Mr. Rahman said, Sujit. A.R. Rahman says that I came to know that there are groups, and I was told that there are groups and gangs who are working against me. And they told, and this he said in an interview recently, that they told people to not come and give me work. Now, for an Oscar winner who's worked with the biggest of the filmmakers and the biggest of the and the best of the cinema that we know, to say that, isn't that more about internal politics?
See, there are internal politics because there are powerful people. So when there are powerful people, there will be internal politics to divert issues, divert favoritism. Everything will happen, of course. Now, for example, when Mani Ratnam, he's one of the most celebrated directors, not only in the industry, but in India. When he did his first film or second film, Roja, I think he got A.R. Rahman.
Yeah.
Right? And A.R. Rahman was absolutely fresh, I think, first time he was working. And since then, I don't think he's moved from A.R. Rahman. He worked with A.R. Rahman after Ilayaraja. He used to work with Ilayaraja, I think.
Yeah.
And then working
he chose
with
to go even when
all the time,
was so big.
all the time, because A.R. Rahman was one of the most talented.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it. He worked with some of the most very good cinematographers. I work with some of the very good cinematographers for the last two films. So I think that's purely for the sake of art that you do. You choose, okay, for the art for your film, what you think is the right for your film, which I choose. Now, when what happens when you say same film I'm doing and I'm clashing with a powerful cinema, say for example on a release date. I know how I will be, my film will be put down or subjugated. How my shows will reduce. Even I won't know how that mechanism works. I've never known how that mechanism works. If somebody. So I think it's all about the powerful people who are ready to take chances and who are there to choose people. That's why I'm saying this introspection is very, very. See, always a debate will go to always there is a dirty side to it, there's a positive side to it. I see it, there's a positive side to it also. Yes, industry is divided, as you started the conversation. Industry is divided. It will be divided because there are some people who will be talking sense which you think may not be sensible at all. the people who are talking nonsense, I may think, no, they are talking sensible. So that's a different debate altogether. But I think even if the industry is divided, that's okay. But as long as we are discussing, I think that's a good and healthy sign that we are discussing this. Even if the film industry is the first one to start with, and then we will of course come to politics and the business and the family business. And I think when we talk, of course, as Hansal said, that we are the first to bite the bullet as the film industry. Fine, let's bite the bullet first, no problem in terms of nepotism. Then of course let the other professions, other people, other businesses, small firms, which goes from family to family to family to family, and absolutely people who are not talented enough or eligible enough. I think those can of worms will also come up, and I think it's a good thing for the society. It's not bad at all.
But is it very tough to break it, especially in a film industry? Because, say, for example, Mr. Hansal Mehta, anybody who wants to come in wants to make it big. And the general thought process is, it's like Shoojit said, well, making it big was just to land in Bombay and to make it in Mumbai. But for others, it would be to make it to one of the big production houses and say, no, I'm going to work with them. Now, if you this is something that Anurag Kashyap recently said in an interview, that people choose to do that. People also want to work there, and they do get work there. And then if you fall out of favor, or if your movies don't do well, or you don't get work with other production houses, then it shouldn't be a problem, because that's been your choice. You made the choice to work with them rather than to work with a Hansal Mehta or an Anurag Kashyap at some point.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slightly, I'm unable to answer that. I talk to a lot of young students and people who want to break into the film industry all the time, because as I told you, I still wonder how I got here. I have no background in the film business. My father had nothing to do with films. He never even watched enough films. And I got in, I started making films through a cookery show. I just made a food show, and one thing led to the other. I mean, I wouldn't have made films if I didn't meet a composer called Vishal Bhardwaj. I met him and he became a friend because I was making a food show. He wanted to compose a title track for my food show, and because of him I got interested in movies, and so I found my way. But what I have done is I have persisted. I have kept. Persistence is it's a larger philosophical, a more motivational question of individual journeys that we need to share. While all this debate is going on, I think Shoojit's journey, my own journey, Anurag's journey, Vishal's journey, every filmmaker has had a journey. I think it is important at this time for us to share our journeys and to spread that it is possible. There's so many of us who have come from nowhere and who have made films, are continuing to make films, are continuing to follow their passion. I mean, I'm living in a very magical world. I get up every day doing the work that I love to do, and I think that story needs to resonate with people, along with, yes, the introspection is necessary for all of us. I mean, people have gotten used to this power structure. We need to introspect.
Trying to understand this, tell me if I didn't get the drift right. Everybody talks about nepotism in politics. I mean, the biggest, most favorite bashing point for the country is the Gandhi family, and they are bashed for it all the time. So are the other families which currently run the entire political circle, even within the industry. There are questions raised every time the owner's son or daughter takes charge, whether they have the shareholders' approval or not. If they went through the whole rigor of being on the floor of the industry before they went to the board, that happens. So is that what you're talking about? That questioning the nepotism in other industries?
What I'm saying is that it's rampant everywhere, right?
Correct. Yes.
It's rampant everywhere. Say, for example, I'll just give you a very small example. See, I work with, say, 5 assistant directors. Now, the 5th assistant director graduates to 4th to 3rd, 2, and then 1. And some of the assistant directors want to continue for years. Some of the assistant directors are working with me. And there is every year in 6 months, there are graduates coming from abroad, from many, schools, film schools. And there is a queue. And suddenly if somebody calls me and tells me, I am here, so I just want to be a part of, I tell them there is a queue. Yes, there are many people who are. And I have worked with so many assistant directors who have come, and also you will have to see how much talented they are, right? And given equal opportunity. And secondly, in terms of talent, when you see, it is my firm belief that somewhere I've seen very rarely that in Mumbai or in Bengal industry, that talent is not recognized. Yes, it takes time. It takes that patience, it takes that struggling time. It can't be instant. It has its own period. Some people get recognition at the age of when they have touched 55, 60 also. Some people get recognition at the age of 30, or some people get the recognition at the age of 20, right? I'm not talking about who gets when but talent is surely recognized. And that same talent should be discussed everywhere. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I
get your point.
I have another firm belief that, some of our oldest stories, the stories that we have grown up with, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, they're all about nepotism. So it's ingrained in our culture somewhere, that the Pandavas and the Kauravas and everybody wanting to usurp a kingdom that was passed on to them by their fathers, by their forefathers. So, we have grown up. When people talk about disseminating culture, some of the stories that we have grown up with, stories in most of our old, so for time immemorial, this has existed. These structures have existed, and we have glorified them. We constantly glorify them. We've made them into gods. We've made their homes into battlefields, their birthplace into a battlefield. But they are all part of a nepotistic structure.
Yeah.
There's a very senior journalist who the other day, I think, gave a talk about one of his award shows, I think Mr. Shekhar Gupta. So I think that sums up everything.
Yes. Yes, it runs everywhere. Okay, thank you so much, gentlemen. I think this was a lovely and a very different conversation. We didn't want to do mudslinging. We didn't want to shout and yell and sound ugly about it. But I think you both agree that there is a need for introspection. And perhaps for some barriers to be broken, not just in the film industry, but elsewhere as well. It's a society mindset that ultimately, at the end of the day, needs to change, and the inequalities that exist within our societies, that must change. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have both of you on this conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Pleasure.